And right now at 7 o'clock, the state is launching an investigation into a raid that happened at a South Shore apartment building. Why they think the landlords were working with federal agents.
Police shoot and kill a man after a standoff in Aurora. We're going to break down what led up to the gunfire.
Plus, we are talking with a political science expert about all the fallout from President Trump's speech in Davos as he introduces his new Board of Peace.
And get ready for single digits. Dangerously cold temperatures are almost here. We are tracking just how low we'll get.
Okay, we thank you for joining us here on a Thursday morning, 7 a.m. Time to check in with Mike for the, I don't know, we got to brace ourselves for this cold, don't we?
This is going to be the coldest air so far this winter. The worst of it will be tomorrow morning, really, when we'll have wind chills of 35 below zero across much.
That is unbelievable.
It's ridiculous. And even where it's not 35 below zero, it's going to be 25 to 30 below zero. Anywhere in Chicagoland, dangerous levels of cold. I'm quite confident there's going to be a lot of e-learning going on tomorrow. So get ready for a blast of cold. And then I think this weekend, we got some snow on the way. Today is kind of normal January cold, if you will, 17 degrees at 9. It is going to be windy today. Cold and windy at noon, 22, a little bit more cloud cover at that time. And it will increasingly become cloudy during the late afternoon. And there may even be a snow shower, I think, between about 5 and 8 o'clock. Not as heavy as what some of us saw last night. Skies are nice and clear now, including at O'Hare, 15, but enough wind to produce a wind chill of 0. Tomorrow at this time, I'm going to feel at least 30 degrees colder than that. Current temps 15 at the lakefront, 18 at Joliet and Gary, 11 at Woodstock and in Waukegan, where you picked up a couple of inches of snow. It is also 11 degrees. Today, 24, the warmest day in my 7-day forecast. Gabriella, let's see, we've had fires, we've had a few crashes here and there. What's the latest?
You know, Mike, and yeah, I have a couple more crash reports that are coming up. This is that shot I just showed you from Skyfox. It's over 77th and Damon. That's the intersection that's near here. This is Damon Avenue that's blocked off because of a house fire. It was a fire just kind of contained to this house here. Looks like they're just still putting on out some hot spots, maybe in the attic area. That's where we're seeing the opening for firefighters to go through. Please thank your first responders today, your mail carriers, your construction workers, everyone who has to be outside because the work does not stop, unfortunately. Let's go over to the Stevenson, where we have a report of some debris kind of strewn across the expressway here on the inbound side past LaGrange Road, and it looks like it's at least blocking 2 left lanes. This is a picture I wanted to see if I could at least see some of the traffic. Doesn't look to be so. This is kind of just the part of your normal outbound commute here. But still, you're going to hit some stop and go once you pass the tri-state there. And let's get a look at your drive time, especially on the Stevenson. 40 minutes from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive, 30 minutes on the Dan Ryan right now. It is heavy on the Eisenhower, full 50 to 55 minutes. There was a right lane blocked near Sacramento on the inbound side because someone was trying to change a tire and got into the right lane a little bit too much. And 40 minutes on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown. I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Gabby. Before it gets even colder, some people in the suburbs are dealing with snow.
Roseanne, live out in the elements up in Gurnee. Roseanne, what are you seeing and hearing up there?
Again, it looks beautiful. They have a wonderful coating of snow. They got a couple of inches, and who knows how much was already on the ground because they've had so much in Gurnee. We are also looking at the streets, and they're a little slushy here, although they have been, received a once-over from a plow and probably some salt. But it is still a slushy situation, so people are getting an early start. Now, residents say this winter has been keeping them very busy. On Acorn Court here in Gurnee, they were out shoveling in the dark just to make sure they get the job done in time. With snow 9 days in a row now, Rosa Herrera says it's getting a little frustrating. She was out there with her shovel. There's the driveway to clear, and then there's the pile of snow the plow leaves behind. Next up, she'll have the extreme cold to deal with.
The schools are going to be closed tomorrow, actually, which is good because I have 2 girls, so they're going to have to stay home and do online classes.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, I've lived in Chicago for most of my life, or now in Gurnee now, so it's kind of, you're used to it, basically. So you just got to wake up early, just shovel it out, get it out of the way, then get ready for work.
Jimmy Ayala out bright and, well, not bright and early, dark and early in his pajama bottoms with his warm boots. Such a Chicago thing, out there making sure that the driveway was safe. He was putting out salt as well. A lot of people worried about delivery drivers because goodness knows so many of us are not going to be going out. We'll be ordering Amazon and ordering groceries. And so salting apparently extra important, especially out here in the suburbs. But again, it is a beautiful sight. They are bracing for tomorrow, though, and planning to do some e-learning to make it a little easier on everybody. Back to you in the studio.
All right. Thank you so much, Roseanne. I always think of the parents, though, who have to go into work.
Oh, man.
And the kids e-learn. You got to figure out childcare. It's just a mess.
The whole thing.
All right. Some schools are, as Roseanne alluded to, already calling off classes ahead of the cold, including St. Thomas the Apostle and a couple of other private schools. Schools in Gary, Indiana, are switching to e-learning. We'll be here tomorrow for you on Good Day Chicago. And you can also check back on our website, fox32chicago.com. Great resource for real-time updates on those school closures.
Other news, an independent agency is going to be investigating after Aurora police shot and killed an armed man. Officers were called to the intersection of South Broadway and North Avenue around 12:30 yesterday. Just after noon, and when they got there, the man had barricaded himself inside an apartment with a knife. Investigators say things escalated when officers confronted him, and that is when they opened fire.
The state of Illinois is investigating an ICE raid that happened at a South Shore apartment building last year. On September 30th, armed federal agents rappelled from Black Hawk military helicopters and stormed all 130 units. Now, the state is looking into whether the landlords tipped off federal agents in an attempt to possibly intimidate and remove Black and Hispanic tenants. The Department of Homeland Security is saying in response initially to this raid that they were targeting Venezuelan gang members. We're going to have more coming up for you in a live report.
Today, we are expecting closing arguments in the trial of a man accused in a murder-for-hire plot targeting Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. Prosecutors say that Juan Espinoza Martinez sent out a bounty for Bovino via Snapchat. He has pled not guilty. If he is convicted, he would face up to 10 years in prison.
Several progressive Democratic congresspeople launching efforts to abolish ICE.
Brian Jackson joins us with the new proposal from a local lawmaker. Brian.
On Wednesday, Chicago Congresswoman Delia Ramirez introduced the Melt ICE Act. This measure would ban the Department of Homeland Security from using funds for immigrant detention and instead redirect that money back into communities affected by enforcement like both Chicago and Minneapolis.
This money is being used to allow people to die in detention, to abduct people, disappear them, or send them to these third countries like Salvador to also live through horrible conditions.
Some lawmakers are skeptical, including 15-ward Alderman Ray Lopez, who has been in favor of revising the city sanctuary ordinance to allow police to work with federal authorities to go after known criminals.
But to simply state that you are going to take away funding from an enforcement mechanism of the federal laws which she and her colleagues are responsible for creating shows a serious disconnect between what their roles are in Washington, D.C. and what happens out in our neighborhoods.
A Chicago-based law firm just put out an independent autopsy report for the woman who was shot and killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis. According to the Chicago Tribune, that report from Romanucci and Blandon found that Renee Good was shot 3 times, once in her head, chest, and forearm. As protests continue over her death, the U.S. is now ordering dozens of additional active duty soldiers to prepare for possible deployment to Minneapolis. Anthony?
Okay, Brian, thank you, sir. This morning, President Trump is hosting a signing ceremony for his proposed Board of Peace at the World Economic Forum. That signing happened in the last couple of hours. Board was originally meant to oversee and end the war between Israel and Hamas, but its purpose has evidently expanded to assist in conflicts all over the world.
Tremendous potential with the United Nations, and I think the combination of the Board of Peace with the kind of people we have here, coupled with the United Nations, can be something very, very unique for the world.
Some 35 countries had agreed to sign on to the project. President Trump says Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to join, but says the country is still analyzing the invitation.
The city of Chicago is banning some hemp sales. Retailers have until April to comply. The ordinance bans hemp-derived weed products like Delta 8 and 9. It does not include hemp beverages and topical creams. The ordinance also bans sales to people 21 and under. The city council was also expected to vote on a teen curfew, but a substitute proposal was introduced introduced in the 11th hour, forcing the vote to the next council meeting. We're going to have Second Ward Alderman Brian Hopkins joining us coming up in this hour to talk a little bit more about those proposals. In the meantime, let's take a live look outside. And boy, that just says it all, doesn't it? You see the steam there and the icy Arctic Chicagoland.
The deep breeze, look at that.
And we've formed quite a bit of ice on Lake Michigan now, and this is only going to expand with these extreme cold temperatures. A lot of things to concern ourselves with, not the least of which the cold, but there's also some snow on the way this weekend. Let's look at the national map here, and I kind of have it zoomed in here to the region, and I'm going to queue up all the various watches, warnings, and advisories, and you can see lots of color on this map. This actually goes all the way from the desert Southwest across the deep south to the mid-Atlantic, even the Northeast. There are a couple of snow squall warnings in Pennsylvania. In the Chicago area, we're in blue. So let's find out what all this is. The darker blue here, that is now an extreme cold warning. Goes into effect at 3 a.m., lasts until noon. All of the Illinois counties in Chicagoland under that extreme cold warning. In Northwest Indiana, you might be thinking, oh, that must not be going on. We're not in the dark blue. That's a cold weather advisory. We're splitting hairs. This is where minus 30 or worse wind chills are most likely. This is where it's going to be no bargain either. Minus 20 to 25 wind chills. It's going to be painful to be outside tomorrow, I think at any time of day where you do not have your skin covered. So that's the message I'm sharing here is stay inside as much as you can tomorrow. And when you go out, if you have to be out, cover everything you possibly can. It only takes a matter of minutes to freeze skin at those wind chill values. Current temps, mainly teens, 15 at O'Hare, Aurora, the lakefront, 15 at Valparaiso, a little colder north where you picked up some snow last night, 11 at Waukegan, 11 at Woodstock. Today, and bear in mind, this is the warmest day in my entire 7-day forecast, and it's only 24. 31 and change is the normal high. West winds at 15 to 30 will keep it feeling even colder. Cloud cover thickening up, and there may be a brief snow shower in parts of the area tonight between roughly 4 and 8. I'll give you a look at that weekend forecast, which is looking a little more ominous as well in just a few.
All right, thank you, Mike. Plenty more ahead here on Good Day Chicago. We're going to speak with the North Central College political science professor William Muck about Europe's response to President Trump's push for Greenland when we come back.
Who here is our...
Welcome back. President Trump is backing down on the tariffs that he threatened while pushing for control of Greenland. But some world leaders are skeptical, and the damage in some folks' minds may already be done here. Today, European leaders, they're going to be meeting to talk about what is next. They're doing an emergency meeting in Brussels. And North Central College political science professor William Muck joins us now to kind of set the stage here for this meeting. Professor Muck, good morning, as always. Will you kind of run us through which countries are involved in this meeting happening in Brussels and what the goal could be here?
Well, I think what we're seeing out of Europe in particular is a realization that they need to come together. So on Tuesday, I think there was a speech by the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, that really set the tone, where there's a realization that the United States is not the same ally it was to Europe and Canada for the last few decades. And I think there's a realization they need to come together and organize themselves both militarily and also economically. And it's hard to express just how dramatic of a development this is. Europe and parts of the rest of the world are turning away from the United States just because there isn't that same bond of trust that has basically been there since the end of World War II. So Trump is really upending a system that's been there for decades.
Okay, so in terms of the discussion itself, diving in a little bit, what are the options on the table to kind of unite, as you said? I understand there's some kind of basic ones, like perhaps retaliatory tariffs. They band together and impose some retaliatory tariffs, or what is being called a bazooka option. Will you kind of run us through the spectrum here?
Sure, yes. And so what we've seen out of Europe in the second Trump administration is that the strategy has been to try to appease the president, right? To try to work deals behind where, don't be confrontational with the president. Let's see if behind the scenes you can work out deals, compromise. And I think what we're seeing, especially with the bazooka option, which would be this all-encompassing economic response, to say that if the United States is going to continue to threaten grave tariffs against Europe, we will respond in kind. And those will be devastating to U.S. Industries and U.S. corporations. So I think there's a realization that they need to unite in having economic penalties on the United States for activities like we're seeing in Greenland, right? So this really is a coordinated effort to push back economically against the United States. And we haven't seen this, right? This has always been behind the scenes, never confronting the United States directly. And it appears the conversations today are, we need to be much more aggressive with the United States.
Okay, now in terms of out publicly, President Trump is claiming that he's got kind of a concept of a deal with NATO. Do we know anything about this, anything about the framework of this deal, or is it vague at this point?
It's still vague, but you're hearing some reporting suggesting that they're basically using the model, or they're building off the model that the UK has with Cyprus. And it's called sovereign base agreements. And so the United Kingdom in Cyprus has a couple small military bases there where they actually have sovereign territory. So again, we don't know if any of these deals have actually been met, but that sounds like the framework they're kicking around, which would mean that the United States would have some sovereign control of a number of bases and land in Greenland. And we don't know if this is actually going to develop, but that's kind of what you're hearing as a potential framework, where the United States would not control all of Greenland. We would not take sovereign control of the country, but the military bases that we had there, we would have effective sovereign control. So we'll see whether that plays out, but that's kind of the talking point you're hearing right now.
That seems like a reasonable 50-yard line, as you mentioned it. Okay, one more thing before we let you go, Professor Muck. This morning, President Trump had this ceremony bringing together what he is calling his Board of Peace. What do we know about this board, who signed on to it, and what it could become?
Well, this is a really interesting development, and it sounds like the president is trying to create a parallel organization to the United Nations. But this one would have the United States, and in particular, the president of the United States at the center of that organization. So, and the idea is that unlike very similar to the UN Security Council, this body would deal with war and peace around the world. Some states have signed on. It's $1 billion cost to get in, but we haven't seen many European countries other than Hungary. And the list of countries joining is relatively small. Russia had said it's willing to join as long as we would use funds that have been seized. So it's in the early stages. I think there are also some other really important questions about any international treaty that the United States signs. Has to go through the Senate. That's in the Constitution. So this is a very early stages of it, but I think we can think of this as being part of Trump, rolling back the institutions and the rules that emerged after World War II. So again, I'm not sure how powerful this will be, but it's a sign of where the Trump administration is moving on international affairs.
Okay, good summation there, William Muck. As always, we appreciate your expertise. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, 7:20. Mike Kaplan time, everybody. It is Mike Kaplan time as we
look at that.
Look at that nice sunrise. Hey, you know, I've been enjoying these extra minutes that you've been adding to the forecast.
Okay, have you?
Yes,
From
indeed.
inside a warm room?
Exactly. And it kind of takes the edge off of this deep January freeze. And just to know that we got a little more daylight out there. Trying to look on the bright side here.
Turning the corner, and starting next week, temperatures on a day-by-day basis will start to, the average temperature will start to increase, even if the real temperatures aren't really going to be too helpful. All right, let's talk wind chills. Timeline, 5 o'clock tonight, and we're looking at mainly single-digit wind chills. Then the Arctic front hits. By 8 o'clock already, northern half of Chicagoland feeling like it's below zero, maybe 9 below around Woodstock, Harvard, and McHenry. Then the real chill hits overnight into tomorrow morning. Around this time tomorrow, I think you're looking at widespread 30 below zero or worse wind chills, and that's why we have the extreme cold warning in effect. Throughout the day, even after the sun comes up tomorrow, I don't think actual air temperatures ever get above freezing here, and that wind chill is going to be right around 20 below zero or worse. That will warrant the extension of probably a cold weather advisory for all of Chicagoland. Wind, temperature combining to produce these bitterly cold, feel-like temperatures. Now, what about snow? A couple of opportunities for that. The first of which will be late this afternoon, early this evening. A little quick hit of some light snow or flurries. I don't think as heavy as what some of us saw last night. This zips on out of here by about 8, 9 o'clock. There will be some lake effect snow on the eastern side of the big body of water. But tomorrow, despite the cold, it is going to be sunny. Then we gear up for Saturday. Notice what happens here over the lake. That lake effect snow starts to migrate farther to the west. This is a harbinger, I think, of things to come as the main storm system, the headline maker to our south, starts to bring some of its snow farther north. And I expect to see some lake enhancement going on here with sticking snow Saturday and Sunday. Long duration event. 0 tomorrow, 10 Saturday, 18 Sunday, sticking snow coming in Saturday and Sunday, and then just plain cold Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Decent flying weather this morning. Sky Fox is showcasing what, Gabby?
You know, Mike, we're looking at the tri-state right now. We wanted to check in on the Stevenson because we had that report of debris all over the roadway on the inbound side past LaGrange. That has been cleared. It was blocking 2 left lanes, plus there's a crash over by US 30. So it's quite a mess on the Stevenson, and we're still pretty heavy on our other expressways. Nothing going on here on the tri-state, luckily. And then we have a look at the Eisenhower as well. Inbound on the Eisenhower is still really heavy, like 55 minutes from Route 390 to the old post office. We had that earlier kind of stall going on near Sacramento. That was about a half hour ago, but it seems like it just hasn't let up. 55 minutes as well on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown. I'm going to call it 45 minutes if you're going outbound towards O'Hare. 50 minutes on the Stevenson from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. It has cleared up near LaGrange where I said that debris was. And 35 minutes on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Stay with us. We have much more Good Day Chicago right after this break.
Stream Good Day Chicago on your
Welcome back. Kingsley Elementary, that's up in Evanston, could possibly close in June. The school board in Evanston expected to hold a final vote on this today. Officials say this has to do with cost cutting, as the district is looking to cut $11 million from the budget. The school is Title I, meaning that they do get funding for students from low-income households.
New this morning, Francesca's is shutting down. The women's boutique closing its remaining stores by the end of the month, including 11 in Illinois. There are 2 locations in Chicago. This is the one at the Roosevelt Collection in the South Loop. The retailer warns it may need to take more significant steps to stabilize finances, including filing for bankruptcy. Francesca's stock fell 85% this year. DuPage County's Wildlife Center back open after years of work. And let me tell you, if you need a place to take the kids for an educational experience during the cold winter months, this is a great place to check out. This is the largest wildlife rehabilitation center in the state. The new 27,000 square foot building incorporates the visitor experience with the renovation, with windows in the lobby providing a behind the scenes look at care.
You'll actually get to see an animal that has come in, get an examination, get treatments, even get a surgery. So we can watch that happen in real time.
That center is open 7 days a week. The building is also a net zero facility, meaning it produces as much, if not more, energy than it uses.
That's a great thing. All right, 727. Yeah, let's check back in with Mike Kaplan. He's
Just looking at that red-tailed hawk getting fixed up. Probably got a little wing.
Sedated. He was sedated.
Sedated, yes. All right, we have some sunshine. Take a look at our live cameras. One thing I want to point out, see this shot here from Shed Aquarium looking over the planetarium? The sun used to be over there. It's getting farther and farther north in the sky. It's a sign. Even though we're talking about extreme cold and snow, spring is not going to be denied. I've got the full forecast coming up, including an extreme cold warning for us right after this.
Hi, Dave.
Welcome back. It's now 7:30 here on Good Day Chicago. The state has launched an investigation into an apartment building where ICE carried out a raid last year.
Were federal agents tipped off by the landlords there? That's the question on folks' mind this morning. Say Kwan is live with more on this. Say good morning.
Hey, good morning to you. Well, as you may remember, that raid ended with at least 37 people getting arrested, which, according to the Department of Homeland Security, was an operation that targeted people believed to be involved in drug trafficking and distribution, weapons crimes, and also immigration violations. That raid happened back on September 30th, again of last year, when armed federal agents rappelled from Black Hawk military helicopters and stormed into each of the 130 units. In information from the newly filed housing discrimination charge backs up tenants' claims of agents dragging them and their children outside, separating them based on their race, ancestry, and national origin, and leaving them zip-tied for hours outside of the building. It also alleges that when tenants were allowed back in, their doors were kicked down and the people who work for the management company started putting tenants' belongings in the trash and clearing out some units. As part of this investigation, the state, as you mentioned, is trying to figure out whether these landlords tipped off federal agents about Venezuelan to intimidate and remove Black and Hispanic tenants from the building. Governor Pritzker released a statement saying, in part, state law prohibits discrimination, and that includes aiding or abetting conduct intended to interfere with housing and civil rights. In another statement, the Illinois Department of Human Rights director says every person in our state is entitled to freedom from housing discrimination and to protection of their dignity, rights, and personal safety. When actions by any entity undermine those protections, the state has a responsibility to examine them in the interest of public welfare, accountability, and equal justice. Also, as part of this investigation, we know that the Department of Human Rights will now begin contacting and interviewing some of these relevant witnesses. We've also reached out to the alderman representing this ward and some nearby neighbors to find out some more information. Guys, back to you.
The time is now 7:32. Happening today, the Department of Housing and Urban Development is expected to begin counting the number of homeless in Chicago. Chicago Coalition to End Homelessness says that number is 3 times higher than what the federal government believes. In 2024, HUD said that there were almost 19,000 homeless people in Chicago. Coalition says that number is closer to 59,000. HUD counts people it can see sleeping outside or in a shelter, but the coalition says it does a year-round count.
You know, rent costs in Chicago, we track this as part of our estimate every year, and they consistently have been rising significantly, and that will continue. And we all know what's going on with inflation. So as cuts are happening for people that are currently experiencing these atrocities, we are deeply concerned about how more and more people who have not needed these subsidies and support so far will be pushed to that brink.
The White House has been threatening to cut millions of dollars of HUD funding for the city of Chicago. Former University of Michigan head football coach Sharon Moore is expected in court this morning. Last month, he was arrested for breaking into the home of a staff member. He was fired for having a relationship with her. That staff member says that Moore said that he was going to kill himself. And while sub-zero temperatures are pretty normal for Chicago this time of year, it is a much different story in the South. These pictures are from inside of a Publix grocery store in Nashville. The place was basically cleaned out because people were worried that they're going to be stuck in the house for days. Middle Tennessee, like much of the South, is expected to get a mixture of freezing rain and a lot of snow. Mike, I looked this up. Nashville has about 45 snow trucks. Here in Chicago, we have about over 300.
300,
so,
yeah.
It
makes a big difference. And, you know, a lot of times they get these snow and ice events in the South, and, you know, it's a couple of days, and then the temperature gets to 50 degrees, and it all melts
away, yeah.
That's not the case here. This may be a long duration for a lot of folks to be dealing with iced over or snowed over conditions. We're going to be dealing with some troubling weather ahead. Dangerous wind chills late tonight through Saturday morning. The worst of it will be tomorrow morning, when wind chills will likely get to about 35 below zero across a big portion of Chicagoland. Accumulating snow, in my opinion, is looking increasingly likely this weekend, with perhaps the heaviest snow close to the Illinois side of Lake Michigan. 15 now, skies are clear. We have enough wind to be producing a wind chill of 0, and that's much warmer than it will feel at this time tomorrow. Temperatures 16 at Midway, 10 Woodstock, 15 degrees rather in LaSalle, Peru, 18 at Gary, 16 at Michigan City. Today topping out only in the 20s, and we have winds, some places gusting to 30 plus, 36 mph there at Gary. Currently out of the west-southwest. We'll turn them around to the north-northwest, and that's going to be blowing in the colder air tonight. Wind chills around 0 in the city, below 0 north, just a couple of degrees above 0 south. Extreme cold warning for the Illinois counties in Chicagoland. It is a cold weather advisory for you in Northwest Indiana. There's no real difference here. It is going to be brutally cold tomorrow morning in particular, and not much better throughout the day. 24 for the high today. I think there's going to be about a 3 or 4 hour period of some snow showers from roughly 4 to 8 p.m. not a big deal accumulation-wise, and it won't be as rough as it was in some spots last night. Look at that low tonight. Daybreak tomorrow, 8 below zero, and that's when the wind chills are going to be in that 30 below zero or worse range. I don't think the high gets above zero all day tomorrow. And then here comes sticking snow Saturday and Sunday. And we'll keep you posted here on amounts. Too early to kind of really gauge that, but the cold hangs on. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, temperatures for the most part stay below 20. All right, let's look at a couple of photos, and we're going to the birds. We have this shot here from Kathy Abretsky in Porter, Indiana, and you see a beautiful crow. What do you think about that one, Natalie? Is that a pretty good crow call that I did there?
I was unsure what I was listening to.
I understand. I completely understand. Thank you for that one. A crow definitely guarding it. And then how about from our friend in Montana? Mike Williams gives us a look at a bird you won't see around here. This is a western bird. That is a pygmy owl. Love that blue sky back there. I know Mike is watching us there in Missoula, Montana. And he is the owl whisperer. I've lost count, Mike, of how many pictures of owls you've gotten. They're all winners. Beautiful bird there and a beautiful sunrise taking place, albeit a cold one. That's our live shot from Sky Fox. We have more of Good Day coming up right after this.
This weekend only, shop Ashley's 2 days.
Welcome back to Good Day Chicago. Chicago City Council debating two important pieces of legislation this week. The first, a ban on hemp-derived products that some argue could poison children. The second, another attempt at passing a teen curfew, which the mayor vetoed the last time around, as you might recall. Second Ward Alderman Brian Hopkins is with us this morning. Thanks so much for coming in.
Good morning, Natalie.
We appreciate you so much. So do you believe that this curfew ordinance, we'll start with that, is the best way to handle these teen gatherings downtown that could potentially become dangerous?
Well, it's not perfect like any tool. It's how you use it, how you apply it. I made some changes that some of my colleagues yesterday didn't necessarily agree with, although it was last minute, so they didn't really have a chance to fully digest it. but I know the police can use it effectively. And the reason we know that is because on New Year's Eve, that's exactly what they did. The mayor himself went hard on an announcement that there was going to be a curfew enforcement program on New Year's Eve. We did that because we had indication that there was a teen trend that was being planned, exactly the kind of teen trend that resulted in a loss of life during the Christmas tree lighting ceremony just a month before. We had to take action, and it worked. New Year's Eve went off largely without a hitch in Chicago, and that was certainly part of the reason, is because we told the teens, if you come downtown, we're going to pick you up and take you in for a curfew violation, so don't even waste your time. It worked.
Okay, this is so interesting to hear, because the mayor, historically, for the first time in a long time, vetoed this piece of legislation. I mean, it hadn't been done for decades, that the city council passed, and now he's saying this might actually be something that works.
It works because he tried it and he found out, you know, with the proof was right there for him. So when I saw that, I didn't know he was going to make that announcement for New Year's Eve, and I was home watching it going, are you kidding me? He's changed his mind. He didn't let me know. So that started the conversation again. We had some negotiations, and the mayor's team had some changes, which not all of them were things I would have done.
Tell me about what those changes are, because I want to get into that as well.
Exactly. So what we're doing now is, instead of imposing a temporary time and place curfew, what we're doing is using enhanced enforcement of authority police already have. They have dispersal authority where they can go into large crowds, whether it's teens or people of any age causing mayhem on the streets or riot. They can disperse those crowds under police order. We can already do that. So what this new ordinance does is it codifies the process of planning to do that, announcing in advance that you're going to do that as a deterrent effect, just like on New Year's Eve. When we hear about a teen trend being planned, in response to that, we will say, we're going to use our enhanced authority to disperse this crowd, and if you're under 18, we're going to pick you up for a curfew violation and take you in. All
right, so there's this opposing legislation then, or this idea being talked about going after social media companies and saying, look, if there's a post that you're aware of that advertises one of these teen gatherings and you don't take it down, then the city of Chicago can fine you. What is wrong with that?
Well, clearly there's some constitutional free speech issues involved in that, and the social media companies, as we all know, they're very powerful. They've got a lot of money. They've got 1 million lawyers. And if we pass this, they're certainly going to take us to court. You don't know what the chances of winning with something like that are, but what we're trying to do is get on the same page with the social media companies. It's not in their interest to allow their platform to be used to promote an event that could easily result in violence or loss of life. And frankly, right now, when law enforcement contacts, say, for example, Facebook, and says, hey, there's a problem, can you take this post down? 99% of the time, they just do it, because why wouldn't they? They want to keep the community safe, too. Of course, trying to get a hold of a human being at Facebook is not something you and I can do. Call the 800 number and, you know, you'll be there on hold for 24 hours. But law enforcement does have a way to get to them directly. And so we want to lean into that existing relationship. And rather than be adversarial and tell them we're going to fine them and punish them if they don't comply, find a way to get them to agree to cooperate with us. So we're exploring this right now. That particular piece of legislation isn't quite ready, but we're in negotiations. We're in conversation. TikTok has reached out to us in response and said, all right, let's see if we can find a way to do this. It's going to take a little bit more time, but I think that's an important companion piece to the curfew.
Great. Thank you so much, Alderman. Thank you again for coming in.
Sure.
We appreciate your time as always. Here's a look at what's coming up on Good Day Chicago at 8 and 9. Keep it right here.
Touches.
welcome back. 7:47 now, and you are looking at just a frozen Chicagoland. If you haven't stepped outside yet today, it is miserable. We bring in the man of misery, not the man of mystery, the man of misery himself,
International
Mike
man
Hanlon.
of misery. Perfect. International man of misery.
Yes.
Yep.
$1 million.
Add it to the resume.
Oh, boy. All right, look, as bad as it is now, it's going to be much worse tomorrow morning. That's when the extreme cold warning will be in effect, technically from 3 a.m. to noon. This is for all the counties shown in blue. It includes the city of Chicago. In the light blue aqua area, that's only a cold weather advisory for you in Northwest Indiana. There is essentially no palpable difference, in my opinion, between how it will feel to be outside with uncovered skin here versus here. It is going to be miserable tomorrow, especially in the morning, but really limited improvement right on through Saturday morning. Here's what we've got today. Mixture of clouds and sun, and during the late afternoon, early evening hours, as our futurecast is showing, a little period of some light snow here might briefly impact the afternoon commute, then it scoots out of here after 8 o'clock. The snow is not a big deal. Behind that snow is the gush of truly Arctic air, which will send temperatures crashing tonight, and it will also light up some lake effect snows for you on the eastern shore. During the day tomorrow, bright sunshine does nothing. We'll have a high of 0. Wind chills, I think all day long, are going to be 20 below 0 or worse. And then tomorrow night, it's cold as well. Then we await what's going to happen with that big storm that's going to hit a huge chunk of the country over the weekend. It may start here as some lake effect snow on the Illinois side in the morning, but there you see our model and others picking up on snow, making it into Chicagoland Saturday and even Sunday. That is my forecast. I'm sticking to it. Today, 24. This is the warmest day of the entire forecast period. And that's, not really very good. West winds 15 to 30, increasing cloud cover. Here's that few hours of light snow showers in the area. Look at that low, 8 below at O'Hare. You get in a lake in McHenry County where you picked up some fresh snow last night, probably going to be 12 to 15 below 0. That's where the worst wind chills will be tomorrow. A high of 0, 10 on Saturday, 18 Sunday. This is a sticking and potentially disruptive snowfall for parts of Chicagoland. And then we keep it colder than normal Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Back to you.
Okay, Mike, thank you, sir. When you say it's snowing in Connecticut, it's not what you would expect.
You guys, listen to this. A snowplow driver charged with DUI for being high on cocaine while driving. The driver told police he had just gotten into a fight with his girlfriend on the phone, and in response, he says he did 3 bumps of coke. Police say he crashed into a stone wall, someone's porch, and a parked car. He says he only remembers, though, being in the plow truck garage. By the way, it was his first and probably last day on the job.
Yeah, I'm guessing that might be a fireable offense.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Depending on how desperate they are for snowplow drivers. Yeah. All right, here's a horrible story. A couple in Florida suing an IVF clinic because they say the clinic implanted the wrong embryo. The couple says the mother carried the embryo to term, delivered the baby, then found out it was not their biological child. DNA testing found it was not the same ethnic genetic makeup. So they had to give the baby to the biological parents. They still don't know where their biological child is.
This is an absolute nightmare for all parties involved. There's going to be a civil lawsuit that comes later, and it's going to be enormous. It's going to involve breach of contract, medical malpractice, intentional infliction or negligent infliction of emotional distress. But right now, this is just an emergency injunction.
So far, the clinic has not commented.
How does that even happen? That is wild. Okay. It is Hollywood's biggest night, and the nominations for this year's Academy Awards were just announced moments ago. Jake had, the pen and paper in hand. You were, look at all those notes. I would like to see your penmanship.
It's not
spectacular.
Pretty. So they start dropping the nominations around 7:30, and it is 7:51 right now. They just wrapped up about 90 seconds ago. So this isn't going to be the cleanest Oscar nomination segment you've ever seen. It's sort of just kind of a picture of what happened over the morning. And there is one movie in particular that has a lot to celebrate this morning.
What the hell going on?
Oh, we heard tale of a party.
This world already left you for dead.
I can save you from your fate.
You don't need no saving.
Yes, you do.
And you are?
I am your way out. Don't cry. He's all better now.
Take a look at that movie right there. Sinners just broke, if my count is correct, the nomination record. 15 nominations for Sinners, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Michael B. Jordan, a couple of Best Supporting Actor and Supporting Actress nominations, as well as a slew of technical nominations like costumes and makeup and effects and all that jazz. It now breaks records of movies like Titanic and Ben-Hur and All About Eve for massive, massive nominations this morning. Another movie with a lot to celebrate. You guys know how much I love this one. One Battle After Another took home some nominations for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay. Unfortunately, Chicago's own Chase Infinity right there did not land a nomination this morning, which was a bummer. We were cheering for her. Leonardo DiCaprio took home a nomination for Best Actor. We've got one for Benicio del Toro, for Sean Penn, Teyana Taylor. A massive win for that movie, which looks like it is the odds-on front runner to take home Best Picture. The Shakespeare drama Hamnet also had a pretty massive morning. Took home nominations for Director and Best Picture and Lead Actress Jessie Buckley. If there were a safe bet for anything, I would say put your money on Jessie Buckley to take home the Oscar for Best Actress. That was pretty much over the moment we all saw that movie. That also got nominated for score, screenplay, casting, and costume. Also, another movie having a surprisingly great morning, Frankenstein, took home nominations for Best Picture. Jacob Elordi himself, who played the creature, took home a supporting actor nomination. Writer-director Guillermo del Toro took home a couple of nominations. Also, again, a slew of massive behind-the-scenes nominations like score and makeup and costume. Congratulations to those guys.
Because right now it's Wednesday, January 21st, and as of this moment, you've never been nominated for an Academy Award. And it is entirely possible that that could change in just about 13 and a half hours. I'm not trying to throw anything out there. I'm not trying to jinx anything, but I would just love to know how you're feeling in this moment right now.
I mean, in this moment right now, I'm feeling good. I feel very fortunate that I get to keep talking about a film that I love so much.
Coming up later this morning, Chicago's own actress Chase Infinity. She got so close to the Oscar nomination. She got Golden Globe, she got SAG, she got just about every other nomination. Unfortunately, she didn't land the Oscar nomination this morning, but that's okay. She's very proud of her movie, One Battle After Another, which got all kinds of nominations this morning. And we're going to talk about her experience here in Chicago, her friends and family here in Chicago who are cheering her on, and the music box screening that she kind of snuck into because she wanted to see the movie with a normal Chicago crowd. We're going to hear from her. We just spoke last night. I hope I didn't jinx it because I was certain she was going to get the Oscar nomination. But listen, she's the kind of actress, this is her first major movie. Sure. She's got a long career ahead of her, so I am totally fine with her not getting this one because she's got a lot to come. Right. The 98th Academy Awards will be held on Sunday, March 15th.
All right, thank you, Jake.
Thanks,
She's
guys.
probably just happy to be supported in the way that you've supported her. Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, guys.
Plenty more Good Day Chicago ahead. Keep it right here.
Here.
If privacy is important to you, you better spend more for hotel. The Wall Street Journal says mid-range hotels have started removing the bathroom door as a way to save money. Instead, you might get a curtain, maybe just a partition. So if you aren't comfortable in that relationship, reconsider that first trip together.
All right, a cosmonaut on the International Space Station gets video of the Aurora Borealis. Look at that view. Oh, my gosh. That is the strong magnetic storm from the sun that triggered this. The crew said it felt like they were floating right through it.
I don't think I've ever seen anything so magnificent.
That is amazing. Have you ever seen it from Earth, the Aurora Borealis? Have you, Caitlin?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've only seen it once.
No, I'm kidding.
She's like,